I think I'm live now. Hi, you guys. This is Lonnie Clark, Nuts for Art. And I listened to Thomas Ackerman's video this morning about the inner and outer and what that means in our reflections. And he was talking about his life experiences being an artist. And it's interesting because I was going to make a video today similar to the same thing but my experience is entirely different. And I thought his video was great because at the end he said facts don't matter. In fact, they kind of get in the way. And I thought that was pretty succinct. Let's put it to you that way. I really appreciated it because one of the messages, this reporting on Fukushima, when it all started, getting involved with Kevin Blanch and the Post-Ignorance Project and all the emotional bullshit that went down, and the fact that all the Fuku fighters, the original gang of Fuku fighters that were in it from the very start, they're just fragmented, just like the old fucking anti-nukers. They're all fucking fragmented. And that's because that's what the nuclear contamination does, is it fragments everything to these tiniest little bits so that really we become ineffective. And I've been reflecting on that. It's been very difficult. I have interviews. I'm going to go home and post them up today. I haven't posted them up on Spreaker. I put them up on KEPW, but I'm having a hard time with all of this. And Tom's video today was actually, for me, a really good reflection of what happened, of how we're in this internal struggle, internal and external, and how it's kind of combined, and we have to resolve that. And I was thinking about how people use that, the whole idea. You hear about people saying, well, my internal life, my relationship with God is the most important thing. And where do you find God? You find God internally, right? So that's the weird part about all that. I mean, I actually have not really understood anything about what is called the Palladians and all the other non-terrestrials. I have recognized they have been on this planet, but I didn't realize that we actually, until recently, I didn't realize that we had relationship with them. And I actually believe that what we are is multidimensional. I've always believed in angels. Because I can guarantee you, I've got so many stories you guys have no idea. Many of you know I came from a tormented childhood. And things happened the right way for me, so many synchronicities of good luck and things that happened the right way. And I always attribute it to me cooperating with my angels. I just keep my attitude right. I know that God's going to protect me, and my angels just sort of work with me, and I do the best I can. I get these urges of what I got to do, and I just go do it. And I don't give up until if I'm told, the Fukushima fight here, I've just had this inclination that I'm supposed to speak out. Now, why? To be honest, when I was involved with Kevin Blanch, there were many times I wanted to go with Kevin, and I think our events would have been much more successful if we had done less events and more joint events. But that's neither here nor there because we don't speak, because he lied to me. And I'm a recovering, I'm in the self-love recovery program, and I don't deal with narcissism anymore. I avoid it like the plague. I'm learning to develop healthy relationships. But, the thing is, I like Kevin. I always have liked Kevin. I think his work is good. I like Dana Durnford's work. And I'm sad that Dana Durnford basically told me to fuck off because, his voice is important. We need to keep reminding people of the danger that we're in. But I'm sort of this mind, this is why I haven't posted, because I look around. I'm like you guys. I keep looking around for stuff, and that's what's driven me to this inner outer world. This is where I'm at. I know I'm flailing around, but this was just a response to Tom's video because I actually think that there is no dead space. See, we're looking here. I'm out on the river, and it looks like the river, But I don't think that's just the river. And I don't think it's just us and the ducks down there here. I think there's lots of other creatures, lots of dimensions that we don't see. And there's lots of people who can see other mediums, for example. There are people who can see dead people, like literally they can see dead people, like your spirits will come in. I mean, I feel them, you know, like I've felt people come through me like that. And you can recall them. And I think that we can have that. And it doesn't matter how long these people have been passed from our lives, if you love them. And that was actually a good relief that I recently learned, is only if you love them and they can come back to you. They're not going to they can't come into your life if you don't want them there. So that's the good part. Or at least that's see what I mean? Facts don't matter. Do we know that for a fact? But I was told that by a trusted source. And you know who my trusted source is? I think the name is Barbara Goldsmith. She's a Palladian medium. And she was like, you know, having a session with the Palladians speak. Palladians come through us. And so that makes sense because of all the stuff. And I actually asked this question, were the Palladians really the angels? Because they're here to cooperate with us, like they're living on a different dimension. And there's people that are documenting their interactions with Palladians. It's kind of undeniable. I don't think these people are all lunatics. I just think there's other dimensions. That's what I mean by the inner outer. And I think it's a matter of what you allow yourself to see. It's not about right or wrong. It's what are you going to allow yourself? How far are you going to let it go? I mean, there's a lot of strict religious people who you got to believe their Bible, their thing, that's it. Nothing else works. And for them, that's their truth, man. And that is it. And if they do anything else, they cannot live in peace. So is that correct for them? I am one who does not believe in organized religion. I think organized religion is there to control us. That's it. Period. And I think we need to live, like Tom says, with our sense of conscience. Do the right thing. Just be a human being. But I'm not saying we don't need rituals and things like that. I mean, if any of you have read Carolyn Meese's book, which I highly recommend, called Sacred Contracts, she kind of documents how society basically has like the same rituals, every culture. So as humans, we must have a need to develop them because we do. And that's what I mean. Like this idea about the inner outer, I decided to do this while I'm walking, and I'm actually walking in the rain. I don't know if you could see the rain, but I am. It's not too heavy. It's still not bad. I'm all bundled up. I wanted to walk in the rain because it's Fukushima rain. I know it's Fukushima rain. But you see, like you can cover yourself, keep it from going on your eyes and in your ears, and you're all good. We don't have to freak out and not enjoy life. Like there's plenty of living to do. I don't know if any of you actually follow Guy McPherson, but he says 2025, we're going to be done. And what did these reports from the UN climate scientists say that dropped today? That we are already headed for excessive wildfires, food deprivation in the United States. The food production is going to drop by 25% because of the impact of climate and the destruction to our environment. So, I don't know. But I appreciate that video with Tom because he's right. We have to do the right thing. And it's up to us to decide. And I'm not so sure. I used to be really optimistic. I'm not so sure I am anymore. Anyways, I'm going to end here. I just wanted to tell Tom thank you because I think we have a right to ask these questions on what is the inner and outer life and what does that mean? And, you know, this whole idea of the matrix, that kind of makes sense with the matrix idea, though, that if we're multi-dimensional beings, it's not a matrix, but I think we're multi-dimensional because I can tell you what, I have had experiences where I feel like I've been able to see my past life. Let me put it that way. Um, and it felt real. Now, can I prove it was real? Like that whole sequence of things that I knew was real? No, but I've had interesting experiences where I know that there are different dimensions, and I don't think life is linear like we think in the Western world. You live, you die, and that's it. I think we go back and forth, and I think the idea of time travel can probably be included in that. So all this like mega science where they're trying to break in, like the CERN, trying to break through the time zone mega zone, and using all this non-terrestrial, what do you call it, non-terrestrial science information to create another world, like after 2020 when they decide they're going to take over out there and tell us what the hell how we're going to live. I mean, I don't think there's any escaping out of the United States after 2020. I mean, I think it's really important. Happiness is resistance. The one thing they can't take away from us is our humanity if we refuse to let it go. Like, that's the interesting thing. The one thing, we can do is remember our humanity and do the right thing and love each other and live in love and live in honor and figure out how we're going to make the planet better and how we're going to heal. And for as long as we can do that, like, I don't know how long that will be. I just got a drop of rain in my eye. See, that's the bitch about knowing you're walking through Fukushima rain. You get one drop of Fukushima rain in your eye and you're like, is that the one drop with the plutonium drop in it? I mean, honestly, I don't know. That's kind of the freak out. I got to change. I started using a walking stick when I go walking. Look at my walking stick. Boop. St. Vinny's, $4.99, thrift store. I love my St. Vinny's. It's awesome. But I went in there looking for a walking stick because I broke my left knee in 2004. Well, not my knee, my tibia. They had to put titanium in my leg and they reconstructed my knee, put nails in it. And then I broke my right foot 2009, 2010. And man, when it gets cold, I can walk, I'm strong, but sure has helped having the little walking stick, because now I can walk a good long way, walk a little bit faster. When I stop walking, my feet aren't throbbing. Woohoo! Like that. So anyways, I guess I'm entitled to a walking stick. I am 63. So, and I guess it gets on in the time. Like me and Tom, we're old geezers, right? We're thinking about these things. And this is the issue. We have a whole generation of people who are so disconnected. I was talking to a young man, we had Thanksgiving last night, and my daughter's friend, he's a chef. He's helping out his friend in Portland with his Takeoff restaurant that's brand new, serving fish and oysters. I'm like, you don't eat that stuff, do you? He's like, well, yeah. I'm like, for sure, should not be eating oysters. That's for sure. I mean, oysters have been on the Kevorkian 4 for a super long time, And if you don't know what the Kevorkian 4 is, you can Google it. But I'll tell you, because it's easy. It's all bottom feeder fish. Dr. Kevorkian says these are the 4 foods. If you eat them, you will die. They cause you illness. You will get sick. So, all the bottom feeder fish, like all the bottom feeders, the oysters, the shrimp, they're full of mercury, lead, toxins, chemicals. Let's not even to think about the nuclear contamination. Like now, for sure, nuclear contamination. Prior to Fukushima, only if you were in Europe, some parts of, maybe Northern California, around Hanford, but now it's everywhere because of Fukushima. Because between Fukushima and Sellafield, the entire oceans have nuclear contamination. There's no way they don't. It's just the sheer numbers of the leakage. So, think about it. 9 million liters a day. I think it's been, 1982? Sellafield's been leaking. They actually renamed the plant because they didn't want people to freak out. In Fukushima, And actually, if you go online at Fukushima, they call it Fuichi. It's not called Fukushima. So you get confused. This is how these bastards are. So this is why we have to talk about it. So, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. The whole thing about the turkey's interesting. I just started eating meat again this year, but I definitely get meat from local farmers, people who don't abuse their animals and treat them with some level of respect. Although there has to be some torture in killing them, so I don't know. I'm like, it's kind of a difficult thing, but I'm grateful that there's a couple farmers here that I'm able to like order online and they just bring me my meat and it's all, I know that they're not torturing their animals. And interestingly enough, they're all grass-fed, organic, all that other junk. It's different, very different. That kind of shocked me when I first started buying it because you cook it differently, it cooks differently, taste, you have to chew it more. And I do admit, I limit my consumption of meat to honor the animals. I don't need a lot of meat. But I do have a minimum that I was told I need. So that's what I eat. I eat 4 to 6 ounces a day. Because, I don't know, I just feel like that's just, I know it's kind of torture still. I'm still sort of a vegan at heart, but I do feel a lot better since I started eating meat. And I eat dairy, and that's the other part. I know the dairies are all got nuclear contamination. But you know what, at a certain point, that's partly why I wanted to do this video in response to Tom's video, because he's talking about the inner and the outer reflection of it all. But isn't that part of all of it? Like, we were born into this. Like, this is where we live, and there's contamination here. Not just nuclear, that we can't even see. It's like we're living in a pigsty that looks clean. That's kind of the downside to it. You know, so we have to decide, how are we going to live? That's one of the things me and Heidi Lambert discuss on our radio show. There's actually, I'm going to post that up on Spreaker. I have not posted it up. I've been like back and forth on whether I'm just part of the white noise or if this information is valuable. I mean, since I've been back up on Spreaker, I really have not made an effort to contact many people to do interviews because I feel, the fuck, we can keep talking forever about this stuff, but when are we going to get millions of people in the street to go, wait a minute, this has got to stop. We need to put our money into fixing our waters. This is bullshit. I mean, our children in every singular nuclear site have high levels of cancer. I mean, the NRC itself says they allow 225,000 birth defects a year for every 2 grams of radioactivity in the air. Count the grams of radioactivity they have in the air around the plants, around the different areas. We know for 2 weeks at every single nuclear power plant in the United States and around the world, they have high levels of radioactivity in the air. So, God dang, man. We are like living in an open prison, essentially. That's kind of what it's like. And that's what I was thinking about, like with quantum, whatever, conscience of quantum, or I forget his name. Tom always remembers it. But with that guy, you know, he thinks it's a matrix. And, you know, I could see how he thinks that. It does look like a matrix, but I think we're multidimensional. I think we live in multi-dimensions, even in our conscious state, even awake. But when you meditate and you allow your being, or whatever that is that makes you you, to live in alternative states, you become multidimensional. That's why some people are healers. Some people do different things. Like, I don't know, like, it's weird. Like, the stuff that I get done for my clients, this is what makes me know, like, this was part of my mission to come do this, because I have no idea. Like, I have some of the most difficult clients, and then all of a sudden, like, boom, it's easy. So, you know, and I do think, like I said earlier, I've always thought it was my angels. And then recently I started learning about Palladians and how they live in a different dimension from us, and learning about all these non-terrestrials, I guess we call them. You know, people that aren't human, but are like us, kind of, you know, sentient beings, which I guess the whales and the ant creatures in the water are. I guess everything is, like even the trees. That's the thing to understand, like everything is a sentient being. Like we're just now beginning it to learn in science how complex the computer is in each little organism. Because that's what we are. We're walking computers. We just have a boca and a thumb, you know? Like we just get to talk. And we have thumbs that make it work. But I don't know. Some people are coming, so I'm going to keep it down a second. Although they probably do think that I'm, yeah, who knows what they think. So, I don't know. Is it worth it? Is it worth to keep ranting about Fukushima, nuclear contamination, GMOs? Like, look, if they don't know by now, do you think that people really do not know? I think they know. That's where I'm at. I think they know. So I think Tom's right. It is about the inner and outer world and doing what's right. And once people actually start acknowledging who we really are and allowing themselves the time to think about it, like it's not about being right or wrong. That's the weird part about all this. It's not about being right or wrong. It's about living life with humanity and decency towards other people and towards each other and towards our planet. I mean, look at this beautiful place. Oh my goodness. I want my grandchildren to be able to walk through here. Wow. I'm going to end here, you guys. Thanks, Tom, for your video. Thanks for your reflections. And talk to you guys later. Ciao. I don't know how to turn this guy off, so it might take me a minute.